Hi everybody, it's Miss Smith. I'm back to read a little more from Chocolate Fever. When we left off, Mac, a very nice truck driver, is trying to talk Henry into calling his parents because he knows that his parents must be horribly worried because he ran out of the hospital and was gone, and this is now it's nighttime, so they've got to be so worried about Henry. So Max decided to, or talked him into making a telephone call home. So chapter 9, hijacked. Mac doused the cab lights and reached for the switch that would start the diesel. But at that very moment, a loud voice from the darkness outside the truck called, "Reach for the sky! Don't make a move! Hands up! We got you covered!" Max froze at the wheel. Henry's heart leapt up in his throat, ricocheted around, and settled back down in his chest again. Two men jumped onto the truck, one on each side. Each man carried a small blue revolver. That means a gun. The guns were pointed straight at Mac. After a moment, Mac found his voice. What is this all about?" he asked. The man on Mac's side of the truck, the one with the mustache, replied, "This, sir, is a robbery. A stick-up. It's a hijacking, in fact. Section 3, Part 4 of the Criminal Code. Seizure of a cargo of goods from a vehicle or vessel on the roads or waterways." Wow, this guy sounds like he could be a police officer, a detective. "Oh," said Mac. "Right, Louie," said the man on Henry's side of the truck. He was smaller than the other one, and instead of a mustache, he wore horn-rimmed glasses and a lopsided smile. "I'm Lefty. He's Louie," the man went on. "People get us mixed up sometimes, but I don't know why." "My name's Henry Green," said Henry, "and this is Mac." "Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure," said Louie. "Even under these unfortunate circumstances, it's nice to be polite." Well, Louie and Lefty did seem to be polite, even though they were pointing their guns at Mac and Henry. You sure you want to do this?" Mac asked slowly. He seemed to be puzzled by the hijackers. "I think you're going to probably be in a lot of trouble if you do this," said Mac. "Trouble?" said Louie. "You'll be in trouble if you don't do exactly what I say. Now, climb up to the bunk up there, both of you, so we can get on with the job." Well, Henry did as he was told, with Mac following slowly behind him. Mac was getting angry. Henry could see, but when he spoke, his voice was very calm. I don't suppose it would do any good to tell you that you are definitely breaking the law," said Mac. Louie laughed. "Breaking the law, mister? We are fracturing the law." And with that, Lefty jumped into the driver's seat. Louie took his place beside him, and the truck began to roll. Mac still had something on his mind. Henry could tell. And above the roar of the motor, he called down to the pair of thieves. "You better stop now. I think you're making an awful mistake." "There's no mistake about it," Louie called back over his shoulder. "We know exactly what we're doing. We're hijacking a cargo of expensive fur coats." So here's a little picture. And here's part of the other picture. I'm a little bit worried about this. I didn't see this coming. Mac looked dumbfounded, which means like really confused, at this last piece of news. "Furs?" he cried out. "Furs?" And with that, he started to laugh. Great gusts of laughter just poured out of him. He doubled over one or two times, holding his belly, crying. Finally, tears came to his eyes, and they rolled down his cheeks. He was laughing so hard. "Oh, Lord," he cried when he could finally speak. "They think they're stealing furs." Well, the more Mac laughed, the more concerned Louie became. He signaled Lefty to stop the truck, and when he had, he turned to look at Mac. In a low voice, he said, "No furs?" Mac, taking care to try to keep a straight face, simply answered, "No furs." "Then what?" Louie began as Mac interrupted. "Candy bars!" Mac shouted. The laughter began again. You're robbing us for candy bars." No," Louie said. "Chocolate bars, that's what I'm hauling. With almonds." "Oh, really? Come on," Lefty said. "What are we going to do with a load of chocolate bars, genius?" Lefty demanded to Louie. Do some of them have crunchy bits? Do some of them have almonds? Chocolate bars, I can't believe this, Louie mumbled. You said this job would be like taking candy from a baby, Lefty said in an angry way. But chocolate bars? And some with caramel and some with nuts. Mac started to list off all of the different kinds of chocolate bars. And some with caramel? You guys are ridiculous. As Mac continued to roll call the various kinds of candy the truck carried, the two thieves sat silently in the front seat staring at each other. It was plain to see that they were amazed. After a while, Lefty spoke. What do we do now? He asked his partner, Louie. I don't know, Louie replied, but I'll think of something. Meanwhile, let's get this truck to the hideout. And some of these chocolate bars have peanut butter, said Mac as he continued to laugh and list off the types of chocolate bars. With Mac's laughter ringing in their ears, the unhappy thieves looked glumly ahead as the truck rumbled through the night. And when you have a glum look, you're not happy about things. Lefty slowed the truck almost to a crawl and turned down a small dirt road. The truck bounced along the narrow track, turning right and left through the trees, and in a few minutes came to a stop in a grove of pine trees near a small little cabin. When Lefty had turned off the motor, Louie called up to them, Gentlemen, we have arrived! Last stop! Everybody off! Well, Lefty and Louie opened the cab doors and stepped down out of the truck. Easy now, you two, Louie said as Mac and Henry joined them. No sudden moves, no funny business, no tricks, right? No tricks, Mac said quietly. Louie had his gun in his hand again, and Henry could see. With the gun pointed squarely at Mac, the thieves led them into the cabin. It had one room, dirty and desolate looking. Desolate means like left alone, nobody's been to do anything in there. A wooden table and chairs stood in one corner, and Louie prodded Mac and Henry in that direction. There were no windows in the cabin and no light either, until Louie lit a small lantern that hung from the rafters. Lefty pulled a chair over near the door and sat there, gun in hand, watching carefully. Well now, Mac said, what's going to happen next? What comes next is up to you, Louie said. Play it smart, and we leave you here when the job is over. Give us trouble and, well, just don't give us any trouble. With that, Louie drew a chair over near Lefty, and the two of them fell into a quiet conversation. Lefty was angry. That much was clear. What do we do with a load of candy? They heard him saying. Louie spent most of his energy trying to keep Lefty calm. Looks like our friends over there bought a pack of trouble, Mac said to Henry. Instead of furs, they got something that they don't want. Ha ha, said Henry, and they both had a quiet chuckle, followed by several minutes of quiet giggles. When their humor had subsided, Henry asked Mac what was really going to happen. I don't know, Mac said, except for this. If either one of them tries to put a hand on you, I will personally lay them out flat, gun or no gun. So don't worry, okay? There was a kind of iron in Mac's voice now, and Henry was sure that when the moment came, the big man would be ready for it. Just then, out of the corner of his ear, Henry heard a faint and faraway sound. It could have been a dog barking, and Mac heard it too, and the two of them sat quietly listening. It was barking all right, but now there seemed to be two dogs barking. Mac put his hand on Henry's arm. No noise now, he said. Just listen. The barking got louder and closer as the seconds ticked by. Louie and Lefty had heard it too. They stood near the closed door, listening for all that they were worth. You had to be deaf not to hear the chorus of yelps and yowls. It was getting louder and louder with every moment. Keep 'em covered, Louie shouted against the loud noise. I'm going out to see what's happening. Lefty shuffled over to the corner where Mac and Henry sat, his drawn pistol looking them straight in the eyes. Louie, gun in hand, opened the door and froze on the spot, but only for a split second. For at that exact moment, a big German shepherd came sailing through the doorway and landed on Louie's chest. Louie was knocked flat on his back. His pistol clattered across the floor. Behind the German Shepherd came a whole army of yelping, barking dogs, all heading straight for Henry. There were Airedales, Dobermans, and brown and white collies, several spaniels and Irish setters, and a small French poodle. They were yelping and jumping and barking enough to fill the little cabin with noise and confusion like crazy. Lefty was stunned, speechless, absolutely confused by the dog riot that was taking place before him. But Mac knew what he was about. In a flash, he pounced on Lefty and took the pistol right out of his hand. Then he leapt to where Louie's gun had fallen and scooped that one up too. One gun in each hand, Mac whirled around to face the crooks in the... oh my gosh, I'm just getting so excited, you guys. Hold on. Then he leapt to where Louie's gun had fallen and scooped that one up too. One gun in each hand, Mac whirled to face the pair of confused crooks. Louie was still on the floor. Lefty was surrounded by a pack of yipping, yapping dogs. Even if he wanted to run, he couldn't. Henry, of course, was the star attraction for this animal army. They were licking him as if he were some sort of new dog yummy chew toy. His arms and legs and face were covered with happy licking dogs, and all of it made him laugh so hard he could scarcely protest. And to protest would be like, no, like stop licking me. While this was going on, still more dogs were racing into the tiny cabin, and behind them came people, most of them with leashes in their hands, and all with the same kind of puzzled look to their faces. They had been out walking with their dogs when, one after the other, the animals had put their noses in the air, sniffed loudly, and then began racing madly along the dirt road as if following an irresistible smell. Now, what could have made those animals behave so strangely? And what about those pistols? What was going on in this cabin anyway? Why did the place smell like a chocolate shop? It took about an hour and the arrival of the local police to sort it all out. Mac had a lot of explaining to do, but when it was over, Louie and Lefty were handcuffed. As they were being led away, Henry heard Lefty mutter, "We go after furs and we get candy bars. We get to our hideout and we're invaded by dogs. It's getting so a guy can't even make a dishonest living anymore." said Mac and Henry together as they laughed. As the police car turned out of sight at the end of the tree-lined dirt road, they were still laughing. "Come on, kid," said Mac between chuckles. "We've still got some candy to deliver." And I just want to show you the picture of the dogs and what happens when they break through the door. So that is the chapter, that ends chapter 10. So we did 9 and 10. And tomorrow I will have chapter 11 and 12 ready to go. So we know that when Max says we've got some candy to deliver, that means they've got deliveries to make, but also I think he's talking more about Henry, like we need to deliver Henry home. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. I miss you guys. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you. Don't forget, Friday we'll have a class meeting using Zoom at 6 o'clock. So stay safe, be well, and Peanut wanted to say hello. Hello. Oh, what? I think Peanut wants me to, what? Tell me something? Nope, nobody has a birthday today, so we can't sing the birthday song. Peanut really wants to sing happy birthday, like we did to Lila, but we don't have any birthdays today. Sorry, Peanut. It's all right. Okay, guys, see you later.